Taylor Swift finally got her music back, but it wasn't easy. Imagine spending 15 years creating something beautiful with your own hands, your hard work, and one day you wake up to find out it now belongs to your bully. That's basically what happened to Taylor Swift with her own music. But she never gave up. Here's the full story of Taylor's masters, and how she took back control of her art. Back in 2004, a young Taylor Swift was playing in Nashville bars, trying to land a record deal.
When I was 11, I was like, Mom, we have to go to Nashville. That's where they all go. Went to Nashville with my mom, and she would park outside record labels, and I would run in and be like, hey, I'm Taylor, I'm 11. I want a record deal, call me.
But surprise, country music was a men's club, and no one wanted to take a chance on a 14-year-old teenager writing songs about her feelings. Until one day at a bar called Bluebird Cafe, Scott Borchetta showed up, a guy who was building his own label, Big Machine Records. He was blown away by Taylor's songwriting skills. She signed with him in 2005 and released 6 albums under that contract. Taylor Swift, her debut album, Fearless, Speak Now, Red, 1989, and Reputation. Everything seemed perfect. But here's the thing, even though Taylor wrote all of her songs and owns the intellectual property, she didn't own her original recordings. Because in the music industry, masters, the original recording, usually belong to the label. Quick context. A master is the original recording of a song or album. The owner of the master has control over all copies, whether digital for download, streaming platforms, physical like CDs or vinyl, etc. If you don't own your masters, you don't fully control how your own music gets used, like in movies, ads, or even live performances. So, long before her contract ended in 2018, Taylor tried to buy her masters, but Big Machine Records had a different idea. If she wanted to own her music, she'd have to record a new album for every old one she wanted to get back. Taylor said, "For years I asked, pleaded for a chance to own my work. Instead, I was given an opportunity to sign back up to Big Machine Records and earn one album back at a time, one for every new one I turned in." For example, if she wanted to reclaim her debut album, she'd have to give them another new album first, basically trading Lover for debut. But Taylor didn't see this as a fair deal. Her music means too much to her, and she wasn't about to churn out soulless albums just to reclaim the first 6. So she said no. When the story went public, Scott Borchetta tried to spin it, saying the deal would have given Taylor control of her masters as soon as she signed a new contract with them, and in return, she'd stay with Big Machine for a few more years. But Taylor already knew Scott planned to sell the label, which made her future very uncertain. So, she chose to sign with Republic Records instead, where she now owns 100% of her new music, like Lover, Folklore, Evermore, Midnights, and the Tortured Poets Department. Taylor didn't mind that Borchetta was selling the company. She thought maybe she could strike a deal with the new owners later on. The real problem began when Scott Borchetta sold Big Machine Records and Taylor's masters to Untitled Holdings, a company owned by Scooter Braun in 2019. You might recognize his name. He's the manager behind artists like Kanye West and Justin Bieber. He's also someone Taylor had had issues with for years. On June 30th, 2019, Taylor posted a public letter explaining everything. She said she was denied the chance to buy her albums and that her life's work now belonged to her bully. A little backstory. Taylor and Scooter Braun were actually friends for a while. Yeah, weird, I know. But that friendship didn't last long. Scooter had been involved in multiple controversies targeting Taylor. For example, in 2016, Kanye West called Taylor a bitch in a song and released a video featuring a wax figure of Taylor, naked. Taylor later referred to it in her letter as an organized revenge music video which strips my body naked. Then Kim Kardashian leaked an edited phone call to make Taylor look like a liar. They recorded Taylor without her consent illegally and edited the call to make it seem like she agreed to the lyrics. In 2020, the full call was leaked, proving Taylor had told the truth. She never approved the song because Kanye never played the full version.
A little bit, so can you brace yourself for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Wait a second, you sound sad.
Well, is it gonna be mean?
No, I don't think it's mean.
He just wanted Taylor to promote it on her social media accounts.
So my next single, I wanted you to tweet it. It's a Good Friday, we're dropping it as a Good Friday song. So that's why I'm calling you, that I wanted you to put the song out.
After the full video came out, Kim Kardashian basically acted like it never existed. Meanwhile, Justin Bieber, another of Scooter's clients, posted a photo mocking Taylor. The caption read, "Taylor Swift, what up?" Taylor said Scooter was actively trying to intimidate her after Kardashian leaked the video, and now that same man owned her music. To make things worse, the first thing Scooter did when news of the sale broke was repost a friend's story that said, "Scooter Braun bought Taylor Swift." Taylor says Scott Borchetta had known about her issues with Scooter Braun for years, saying that the man who gave her her first record deal knew exactly what he was doing. She wrote in her letter, "Some fun facts about today's news. I learned about Scooter Braun's purchase of my masters as it was announced to the world. All I could think about was the incessant, manipulative bullying I've received at his hands for years."
When it was online, like when it hit the news,
Nobody in your inner circle
nobody knew.
And you didn't smell it.
No. I knew he would sell my music. I knew he would do that. I couldn't believe who he sold it to, because we've had endless conversations about Scooter Braun, and he has 300 million reasons to conveniently forget those conversations.
But the drama didn't end there. In 2019, Taylor also revealed that when she was about to receive the Artist of the Decade award at the AMAs, Scooter Braun and Scott Borchetta tried to stop her from performing her own songs. Taylor said that they told her she couldn't use her old music on TV because it would count as an unauthorized re-recording. They also tried to block her from using her music in her Netflix documentary, unless she agreed to stay silent about the situation and promised not to re-record her albums. In the end, after Taylor went public and fans backed her up, a deal was made and she was able to perform a medley of her hits, wearing a symbolic outfit that nodded to her past eras. Camila Cabello shared that for this performance, Taylor even had a plan B. Her friends were ready to sing her songs for her.
On what that performance was going to be. Was there a backup plan in case she wasn't able to perform her hits?
Well, I think that was the backup plan.
The backup plan was that you would do it.
Yeah.
So Taylor announced she would re-record her first 6 albums to regain control, as soon as her contract with Big Machine allowed her to do so.
Now, could you re-record?
Oh yeah.
Might you do that?
Oh yeah.
That's a plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which meant waiting 5 years after each original release, so that fans would buy and stream those instead of the original versions.
If I made them the first time, I can make them again.
Love it.
She kept the quality of the songs, but also added new tracks called From the Vault songs.
I've dug up these songs that I wrote along the way that didn't make the album because I thought I want to save this for the next album.
Not only was she reclaiming her work, but she was adding value by giving fans new material from those eras.
Then the next album would just be a completely different thing. And it turns out it's an opportunity for me to go back and re-record all the music that was on the original album.
So, in a way, we were winning too. You might wonder, why doesn't Scooter Braun just sell the masters back to Taylor? Scooter has said he tried negotiating with Taylor, but according to her, these negotiations came with strings attached, designed to silence her forever. Just to even start conversations with Scooter, Taylor would first have to sign a very strict NDA, without having much information about what was actually being offered. So Taylor saw no benefit in signing something that could harm her later. Also, Scooter had no intention of giving up 100% of her masters. Even if they reached a deal, he'd still earn royalties off her work either way. Scooter's now ex-wife, Yael Braun, claimed on Instagram that Taylor missed her chance, and that Taylor's dad, Scott Swift, was a shareholder in Big Machine. According to Rolling Stone, there was a call on June 25th about the Big Machine sale. Since Scott Swift was a shareholder, people assumed he was on that call. But AT Magazine reported that Scott Swift refused to sign a strict NDA that would have required him to withhold crucial info from his daughter. When Taylor made all of this public in 2019, many artists were divided. Some supported Taylor, and others sided with Scooter. And of course, a few jumped in uninvited. In 2020, Scooter Braun sold Taylor's masters to Shamrock Holdings, and again, without telling her. And when Taylor thought she could reach an agreement with this new company, she found out that any deal would still benefit Scooter, since he didn't give up full rights to her music. Taylor posted a message to fans explaining everything, because transparency matters. Now in 2025, specifically on May 30th, Taylor Swift finally owns her masters. All her albums, the masters, the recordings, the videos, the memories, the magic, the madness, everything. Taylor announced on social media that she bought her masters from Shamrock Capital, sharing the news with a letter on her website. She thanks Shamrock Capital for being the first people to offer her the opportunity to buy her masters. Billboard reports that Taylor bought back her original masters for $360 million. And according to People magazine, Scooter Braun had no involvement in Taylor's deal to buy back her masters, despite recent reports. Contrary to a previous false report, there was no outside party who encouraged this sale. All rightful credit for this opportunity should go to the partners at Shamrock Capital and Taylor's Nashville-based management team only. Taylor now owns all of her music, and this moment finally happened in spite of Scooter Braun, not because of him. Taylor still had 2 re-recordings left, Reputation and her debut album. About Reputation, she opened up and admitted that she didn't even have a quarter of it ready because it's such a specific album tied to a particular moment in her life. She'd basically been putting it off. She said, "The Reputation album was so specific to that time in my life, and I kept hitting a stopping point when I tried to remake it." She also added, "To be perfectly honest, it's the one album in the first 6 that I thought couldn't be improved upon by redoing it." But she promised that if we wanted, she could give us the vault tracks, which, of course we do, Taylor. As for her debut album, she said, "I've already completely re-recorded my entire debut album, and I really love how it sounds now." So we could still get debut, Taylor's version, after all, since she said both albums will have their moment to shine when the time is right, and that it'll come from a place of celebration, not sadness. Now, Swifties can listen to any version of Taylor's albums because, finally, they all belong to her. In fact, right after Taylor's announcement, we celebrated by streaming her music, and her albums climbed back to the top of the iTunes charts. I honestly have no words to express what this journey with Taylor has meant, from that very first post where she shared her story, all the way to this letter. Some people online, especially casual listeners on social media, react like, "So what was the point of the re-recordings?" Or "She could have just waited," or "It was only about money." But no. As I already explained in this video, this is about an artist fighting for the right to own her art. And it's because of the Taylor's versions that Taylor was able to buy her masters. Thanks to the Taylor's versions, Taylor gained more control over her music, and she was able to make the Eras tour happen. It was through these versions that she won this legal battle, by proving that her music only holds its true value when she and her fans are behind it. With fans treating the Taylor's versions as the only versions that exist, and pushing radio stations and TV shows to play her versions, the people who owned the original masters didn't get the profit they expected. That's why Taylor said in her letter, it's a business move for them, even though she feels they do see the bigger picture. If you liked this video, comment Taylor Swift owns her masters. We have to keep celebrating. If you made it this far, if you enjoy this kind of content, it would mean a lot if you showed your support for the channel with a thumbs up and by subscribing. You can also join to get badges, stickers, and your name in the credits. I talk about Taylor, theories, Easter eggs, the Eras tour, and sometimes other artists I love.